You know, cancel culture has gotten bad for Democrats, that even top liberal leaders are getting worried about it. Former President Barack Obama blasting woke Democrats in his party and telling them to stop being a, quote, buzzkill.
People just want to not feel as if they are walking on eggshells. We're going around scolding folks if they don't use exactly the right phrase, or that identity politics becomes the principal lens through which we view our various political challenges.
The former president not stopping there with his critiques of the Democratic Party. Obama also telling Democrats to stop obsessing over Trump.
We spend enormous amounts of time and energy and resources pointing out the latest crazy thing he said, or how rude or mean some of these Republican candidates behaved. That's probably not something that in the minds of most voters overrides their basic interests.
So, Greg, is the former president spot on?
Oh, absolutely. But he's a little late to the party.
Exactly.
I mean, we should be grateful that he finally showed up. But if he had gotten in early on this, before wokeism took over, we would still have Roseanne. We might still have Cops. Pee Wee Herman would still have a morning show. But no, we had to wait until everybody got canceled. I know, but it's hard to be Obama, because if he says, the moment he expresses this stuff, they're going to crap all over him for sounding like us, right? But he used the right word, which was buzzkill. You have to look at wokeism and cancel culture as an attack on fun. We talk about this show and my show and maybe Jesse's, I don't know. But we flipped the script, right? It was always the right that were humorless and staid, and it was the left that was Animal House. What's happened now is a complete reverse. You can tell Republicans, conservatives, libertarians, they're the ones that are having fun. They're the ones that are for drug legalization. They're the ones that don't, they want to have a party. They don't care what you wear at the party, right? And now the Democrats, or the left, or what's within the Democrat, they're now the Falwells and the Phyllis Schlaflys of the 2022. They've become the humorless Dean Wormers, and we're now Animal House. That's what he recognizes. And it would be very helpful if you pointed out, you guys, you young liberals, you got to have more fun. You look so miserable pouring milk out at stores and screaming at people on the street. Nobody wants to be around you on Thanksgiving. You're miserable. Go to the gym, clean up. Sorry.
All right, Dana, what about the fact that when Joe Biden came out with the whole MAGA thing, and now former President Obama says, stop obsessing over Trump? Yeah. I mean, is that kind of an attack against Biden as well? Is there something going on there?
That's pretty interesting, because I hadn't thought of it that way. I think that could be, sure. Because I believe that, especially through this particular podcast, they try to give the White House advice. And if only they had listened to them, right? And those are the Obama people trying to tell the Biden people what to do, and there is friction there. But I don't think Obama's wrong. He had said something similar to this before, but mostly about college debates. Remember, he came out and said, you got to have a place where you can have a free flow of ideas, and he tried to do that. But if you think back, do you remember when he was first in office, they got a rodeo clown fired?
That's right.
For wearing an Obama mask. And that rodeo clown had worn the mask of every previous president. That's just what you did. So it almost would have been offensive if the rodeo clown had not done it. But instead, what they did is they ran that guy out of town, and he didn't even have a job. Think back to the beer summit. Why did we have to have the beer summit? That was also something like that. And then he says something like this in Georgia, where, on the Senate side, Raphael Warnock is going around and talking about all these things regarding identity politics, but he and Stacey Abrams were the ones that ran the Major League Baseball out of town. And according to some people on the ground, there's still a lot of hurt feelings over that, and people haven't forgotten that. So, yes, welcome, but maybe a little too late.
Yeah. Jesse, what about the fact that it is too late? Why now?
He's probably thinking these woke losers are going to get crushed in the midterm, so I want to put some distance between myself and the Democratic Party and say, see, I told you, show. That's because he's always about himself. He's always like, well, I know how to win. And he did know how to win.
Yeah.
But he also got his party crushed in both midterms and gave us Trump. He can't say he was against identity politics. He was the first black president. His historic first black president. You remember he took it to the bitter clingers? Talk about beer summit, but we had all that stuff. That was the whole anti-cop thing. It started there. It started under Barack Obama. Anytime you attacked the Affordable Care Act, it was because you were racist. He did that all the time. Don't act like this thing just started. It gave birth during the Barack Obama years. And it also is this. He's getting older. Michelle's getting older. Sasha and Malia are coming home. They're annoying. Their boyfriends probably are annoying. They're saying, Dad, stop misgendering people. You can't say that, Dad. And they're rolling their eyes at these people. Barry's out on the golf course. They're all out on the golf course, whether it's Nancy, I don't know if she doesn't play golf. They roll their eyes at the buzzkills. They don't understand the non-binary intersectionality, colonizer mindset. They don't get that at all. But they're afraid to say it. And he's trying to say, it's okay, guys. You can move out of this stuff. This is how you do it. But Greg was right. We could have used them when they were tearing down statues of Columbus.
Yeah, no question. No question. And, you know, Jessica, I mean, what you've got is very few Democrats dared cross that Rubicon and say, you know, this wokeness is for the birds. But James Carville did a long time ago. But nobody seemed to follow him. Why?
Well, James Carville has given no Fs for decades. That's his brand, and that's what he's really good at. And obviously was seminal in an incredibly successful 1990s and getting us through a huge wipeout of losing the House and then Contract for America and all of it. People do listen to James Carville. They don't necessarily have the cable news pundit jobs, right? They're not the ones who are in your face all day. They're not on the editorial page of the New York Times, but they're out there. And what President Obama is doing that's different than other people who criticize it, he's criticizing liberals. He's not talking about conservatives. He's talking about liberals who make it impossible for you to breathe, right? This is the whole, the term Latinx, which 3% of Hispanics in this country actually use. I've been in so many meetings looking at PowerPoint presentations, and they say, and to reach the Latinx community, I work in research. Who is that, right? What is that? And that's liberal on liberal problems. If you want to say whatever you want about Republicans, try to make it as polite as possible. I get it. But some of this woke stuff is alienating, I'd say, moderate to conservative Democrats, certainly independents. And I'm sure that that loops back to what's going on with independent women. And then moderate Republicans who do hate Donald Trump. When Obama says, don't talk about him anymore, the perception of Donald Trump has been baked in, I'd say, since about 20 minutes after he came down that golden escalator. People knew exactly what they thought of him. And that has not changed since then. So yes, leaving that aside, especially when the midterms are kitchen table issue elections. We know what they want to talk about: inflation, the economy, crime and public safety. I'll just say every time he shows up, I say this: he's a wonderful asset for the party. I wish that he and Michelle would do more. They're only going to 3 spots, I think. I don't know if that's about tension with the Biden camp or not, but we need voices like that. Bill Clinton's the same. He just shoots it straight, and he says, stop doing this, do that. And we would do much better.
Hi, everyone. I'm Brian Kilmeade. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to click to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page. This is the only way that I know for sure that you're not going to miss any great commentary, any great news bites, any great interviews coming your way on Fox. You can get it all here on YouTube. So subscribe right now.